Good morning. My name is Jason Aldrich. I'm an attorney with the National Border Patrol Council, and we're here this morning to talk to you a little bit about your role as a bargaining unit employee of the National Border Patrol Council and how a couple provisions of our collective bargaining agreement are so important as they empower you to allow us to work for you. Article 3A of our collective bargaining agreement allows the union to negotiate and bargain terms and conditions of employment that affect your working conditions. In other words, from cover to cover in our CBA, or our collective bargaining agreement, there's many things that both management and union decided to put in here that would cover how it is you do your job and which things that we need to put into this agreement. But the parties also recognize that there's things that can come up over time that we still need to bargain. In Article 3A, that provision allows the union to bring matters to management that aren't covered by our collective bargaining agreement, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is a lot of times the union representatives can't see and hear everything, and there are changes or things that are being done that we need to hear from you. There are those of you that are very vocal, that have no problem taking those complaints directly to management, and those of you that wouldn't prefer not to. Ideally, whether you're vocal or someone who would rather have your complaints heard in a much more softer voice, we still want you to bring those to the union, because the union needs those complaints in the entirety of what's going on so that we can take that to management and bargain better working conditions. Probably the best example of that are temporary checkpoints. In my work for over a decade now with the National Border Patrol Council, time and time again I hear of health and safety issues where management didn't think of everything that the agents need on a daily basis, if not an hourly basis, in order to do your job. They'll have no problem setting up a checkpoint, but shade, restroom accommodations, hygiene accommodations, breaks, places to take a break and shade and break from the heat or from the cold. Those are all things that a lot of times can be overlooked by management when they set up these operations, and we may not become aware of them unless we hear them from you. So tying that into Article 6, you are protected by law and our collective bargaining agreement to communicate freely with your union representatives. Some of you have no problem doing that openly in front of managers. Other of you may have concerns about talking with union representatives in front of managers. The bottom line is we do want you talking with us, whether it's openly or behind closed doors where you're more of an anonymous voice. But we want to hear your complaints so that we can take these to management, because when we hear of these things, we can tell management, hey, we're not sure you thought of everything, and we need to address these concerns because our bargaining unit employees might be suffering, hurting, or there might be a better way of doing this where this is better for everybody around, a much more efficient government operation. So remember, talking to the union is so important. There may be things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis that you think are not right. Find your union rep, bring it up to him or her so that he or she can take that to the elected board members of your local, and then they can decide if this is something that needs to be addressed to management. And odds are you're right. Odds are that this is something that we can remedy, and usually, a lot of times, it's not something we have to write down in a grievance. It can just be a phone call. But again, we can't work for you unless we're hearing from you. So please attend your union meetings, email your union reps, call them, find them in the hallway. Tell us the things that are bothering you so that we can work for you, and don't fear of reprisal. If you want to meet with us one-on-one confidentially, you can do that. Your rights under Article 6 have been protected time and time again by the Federal Labor Relations Authority and our arbitrations under the collective bargaining agreement. The basic standard is that whether a reasonable person would fear reprisal or be intimidated from speaking with their union rep or otherwise engaging in protected activities based upon the conduct of management. Quite frequently, statements by management, gestures by management, certain conduct by management, you may say, that's making me feel like I can't be a vocal person, or I should not be bringing complaints to my union. That in and of itself is a violation of law and a violation of our collective bargaining agreement. Again, these are things that we want you to bring to the union representatives to tell them, hey, I wanted to bring this to you, but I was told that it wasn't a good idea by a certain supervisor or watch commander or manager. Those statements that intimidate you or dissuade you from engaging in protected activity, and that activity is just simply talking with your union representatives, those are violations of law and the collective bargaining agreement. So again, not only do we want to hear your complaints about that, but also anything that where you feel like you're being intimidated or dissuaded from talking to us in the first place.